pero lo pueden entender si ven lo que pasa, así que perdón por eso, pero no sé, 46 minutos, no sé si voy a ver todo, pero vamos a ver la mayoría. Vamos a skip, pero esto quiero ver sí o sí.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to VG Myths, the online internet video game TV show on a never-ending victory lap. After permanently and finally murdering Dr. Wily without letting a single drop of his blood stain our hands, the seemingly peaceful Dr. Cossack has taken advantage of the power vacuum and unleashed 8 new robots with the ultimate goal of scratching Rockman's pain. How much more harmless is Dr. Cossack than Dr. Wily? I think you already know the answer. Can you beat Rockman 4 without getting hits?
Voy a ver si el subtítulos en español, un segundo. Sí, creo que sí hay. No, traducción automática. Spanish. No, estaría en español, pues está en su idioma original. O lo pongo en gallego para que entienda a alguien como Kynes, no sé.
Are identical as always. We must beat the game from start to finish without ever taking a single point of damage. If we suck and die at any point, the
sí, he visto esos videos. El de Mega Man 3 fue insano. Fue insano el de Mega Man 3. Un segundo. Estoy esperando el video de este pata de Mega Man 7. Puta, ese quiero ver. El de Mega Man 7. Quiero ver cómo se pasa Wily.
And we go all the way back to the title screen. For convenience, we'll be doing this run on the Rockman Classics Collection version, but all emulator functions including save states, rewinds, autofire, and turbo CPU are banned. Functionally, it'll be as if we were playing on the original Famicom with its original controllers. With the rules set, let's route our suffering. Luckily, the routing will be exceptionally easy this time. First, Toadman for Rain Flush, one of the 2 most used weapons in our arsenal. Second, Brightman, who is weak to Rain Flush and gives us Flash Stopper, the other most used weapon in our arsenal. Third, Pharaoh Man, who is weak to Flash Stopper and gives us Pharaoh Shot, which, while not as much as the other 2, will...
Todavía no he hecho el 7. Y yo creo que se va a demorar, porque con el Mega Man 3 se demoró como 3 años. Demoró 3 años para hacer el Mega Man 3. Así que yo creo que se va a demorar. Puede ser hasta 2 años, 3 años, pues se va a demorar, porque el 7 lo veo complicado, sobre todo el jefe final. Y él no usa save states, él hace el juego desde comienzo a fin. Si pierde una vida, si no da un golpe, regresa al comienzo del juego.
Used weapon in our arsenal. Additionally, in Pharaoh Man stage, we'll acquire item number B, granting the very useful balloon mobility weapon. By that point, we'll have all major tools in our arsenal, and all remaining stages will be as easy as we can get them. Toadman stage will actually be one of the most difficult, claiming a huge chunk of failed runs. During this first section, slowly and methodically clear the way, charging up a shot before each penguin and firing at them right at the spawn. Once you reach the first ledge, you can safely slide below every enemy until the first pit. Here you'll encounter a set of penguins too high to shoot. Instead, lure them to spawn and jump over. Repeat on the following penguin and you'll be free to chain slide below every enemy for the remainder of the
de jefes en serio no son tan difíciles porque a mí me costó. Bueno, yo no soy tan crack como tú pero del 3 sí me costó. El 7, perdón. Y el jefe final, hacerlo no hit es insano.
Easily breeze through the waterways until reaching the snail mini-boss. You'll need its attack pattern memorized. After briefly opening its eyes, it will either toss a bomb or boomerang its eyeballs. The bomb is super easy to dodge, but the eyeballs are super not, so we'll want to bait them before they're fired. Just before the snail's eyes open, do 2 jumps, one to get extra damage in, and the second to ensure you're in midair at the proper time. If done correctly, the eyeballs will be sent straight forward.
Está insano ahora.
Important note, the timing of the eyes opening is different depending on the prior attack, occurring nearly immediately after tossing a bomb. You'll need both timings memorized. Immediately after, you'll rematch the snail, this time with pits at the edges and flowing water interfering with your movement. The overall strategy is the same. Note that Rockman will stay in place while standing directly under the waterfall. Use that as your default position, running out and jumping to the left in between the
stages. Yo tampoco de café, pero algún día sí que inventar uno. Un Kirby o algo.
Last screen. The jumping fish here are mostly easy, though the third can be scary. Time for the first boss of the game, Toadman.
Alright. Esto ya sabemos cómo es. Esto ya sabemos cómo es. O sea, básicamente tiene que seguir parando, como lo dijo DKP. Ese va a ser interesante. Todos los jefes tienen manipulación, me he dado cuenta. Mira, esa es una forma rápida de hacerlo.
I offer no tips. He is impossible. With Rain Flush in the bag, we enter Brightman stage. We won't actually be using Rain Flush until boss fights, since all enemies are extremely easy to deal with using the standard buster. The Grasshopper spike hallways might look dangerous, but they're realistically practically auto-scrollers. One note, however, that you should only jump well before or after the Grasshopper is jumped. Attempting to jump right as it's jumping will cause you to re-land on it mid-jump.
Es lo que me pasó. Eso me pasó.
You have left on this earth. You also might get worried in the final room, since at first glance it seems complicated, but it's deceptively simple. Even if you miss shooting the incoming light bulbs, you'll dodge under them automatically.
Ah, no me di cuenta de eso, que esto se veía aún. Ah, eso cambia todo. Eso cambia todo. Yo pensé que no se veía esas cosas. Por eso no le disparaba.
Of the initial 8. To make up for it, Brightman himself is the hardest of the initial 8. First things first, we need to hit his off switch. Brightman is programmed to freeze you in place when his own health is at one of several specific values. Don't worry if you suck at brain thinking though, knowledge of the exact values is unnecessary. Ever coincidentally, luckily, if your first attack deals exactly 1 damage to Brightman, for example with a single buster pellet, then he will never reach any of the freeze values.
Es lo que me dijo DKP, pero no lo había entendido. No había entendido a qué refería. O sea, esto me había confundido bastante. De hecho, en el boss rush sí me pasó. Sí me pasó en el boss rush. Pero morí por estúpido. Muy por estúpido, porque sí me había pasado en el boss rush cuando jugué esto.
4 damage with each subsequent attack, which is exactly the amount dealt with.
¿Pero es RNG o cómo es eso, DKP?
We'll unfortunately still need to worry about Brightman's base moveset, which is its own cannibals. Brightman has 2 attacks he'll choose at random, either jumping to your current location or firing a semi-random set of 3 pellets. One of those 3 pellets will go down, 1 will go up, and 1 will go straight forward.
Ya, eso ya lo deducí.
From the opposite side of the screen, only the straight shot will hit you at ground level.
Pero por eso digo, o sea, ¿es RNG si lo da uno o cómo? Él mismo lo dijo, cuando tiene una... Pero cómo, o sea, siempre va a ser así o como... Confundido. Programación es algo loco, te lo juro.
With decent luck, he'll get himself stuck in an endless cycle of pellets while his health slowly drains. We can't rely on good luck though. We need a strategy that beats Brightman 100% of the time.
Claro.
If he jumps toward you twice in a row, he'll end up in the middle of the arena, at which point multiple bullet directions might be able to hit you at ground level. To account for this, rather than running away, stand your ground and jump directly in front of Brightman's face. It's incredibly scary, but memorize the timing and you'll be able to jump over all 3 shots regardless of direction, eliminating that element of RNG. And obviously, be prepared for Brightman to jump toward you at any moment. Once Brightman's burned out, we obtain Flash Stopper, which will...
Ahí dice que es valor exacto. Digamos que cada múltiplo de 5 te ataca. A ver, si lo golpeas con la debilidad, que siempre cae múltiplo de 5 te dará ese ataque. Si le quitas una vida, los... ¡Ah! Ok, ya, eso tiene más sentido. O sea, lo disparas una vez y te puedes ahí... Ese valor que lo disparas con todo, nunca lo va a dar. Creo que ya entendí. Creo.
With Rain Flush in Pharaoh Man stage. As I'm sure you've noticed, Rain Flush is a screen nuke, unleashing its damage shortly after the missile pod hits the top of the screen. Use it before and during each trek through the desert sands to melt every scorpion before they can touch you. If rationed well,
eso se puede esquivar, o sea, es peligroso, pero se puede.
Rather than jumping down, use Rush Coil to enter the secret screen to the right with Flash Stopper equipped. Fire Flash Stopper the moment you've entered the screen and jump along the surface of the desert, mashing the fire button along the way. You may be tempted to slide, but we need our timing to be precise, and Flash Stopper's timer is a little bit funky. For whatever reason, Flash Stopper's countdown timer pauses whenever Rockman is sliding, making it ultimately last longer. That probably sounds like a good thing, but on this screen, I've timed things out exactly without slide. distance. Flash Stopper's effect will deactivate
Ese es el Go, creo, lo que me dijo Freak.
Deactivation just before Rockman reaches a spawning scorpion. After jumping over it, you'll be safe to slide the rest of the distance. At the end of this path is
Esta memorización es
though
una
we won't
locura.
be seeing it in use for another couple stages. Rockman will teleport into Pharaoh Man's pyramid, skipping a chunk of the level. Rainflush is capable of damaging shielded enemies, so use your last
Ya,
two
esa parte
shots
no es
to take
difícil.
out both bats along the moving platform corridor. The
Buena
Lucky Joe
estrategia.
corridor can be blasted through free thanks to Flash.
Pero esa parte no es difícil
When
para mí.
approaching each mummy before they fire, freezing them in place so you can take them out with buster shots. Once you
esa
reach the
parte
boss door, don't go to
es para seguridad, más que
Run
nada.
back and forth to the final mummy and farm for weapon energy. You'll want to have at least 3/4 full Flash
Ah,
Stopper
claro,
energy
claro,
before jumping
porque
into
Pharaoh es
Man's
el
rig.
Brightman.
Right as his health is reaching full, mash the fire button. Since Pharaoh Man is weak to Flash Stopper, it will stop him in place, leaving
Ese sería
him
más
with the
fácil,
buster
¿no?
shots. Keep spamming that fire button and up the pace when Flash Stopper is about to deactivate to ensure it gets reactivated ASAP. As wonderfully, stupidly easy as this is, sorry, but Pharaoh Man isn't going to be embarrassing himself 100% of the time. There exists a relatively rare glitch that can completely screw us over. I'm
A
not
ver.
sure on the details since this is pretty stupidly specific knowledge,
Ah,
but it has
mierda.
something to do with Pharaoh Man's invulnerability frame's activation or deactivation occurring on the same frame that Flash Stopper activates or
¿Es un bug
deactivates.
eso o es frames?
However,
Ah, la
because
mierda.
it's so difficult to anticipate, it's effectively
Estaba
random.
pensando,
If it
sería más
goes Pharaoh
fácil,
Man
pero no, ahora que veo esto, sí, Toadman es más fácil. Entonces,
will move and attack, Flash Stopper be damned. To anticipate this, keep a bit of distance from Pharaoh Man while mashing. If the glitch occurs, keep trying to deal damage while
Eso no me ha
keeping
pasado a mí,
the lane.
menos mal.
If you're lucky, there will be a thin opening to weave between Pharaoh Man's bullets and continue your barrage from behind. Once Pharaoh
Qué
Man is
locura.
dead, take a break from Weakness Order and head into Dive Man stage. You could come here later if you want, but I personally find Dive Man to be one of the harder remaining bosses, and we won't need any more gear
sí,
to
no,
make
es
this
uno de los más
easy.
difíciles.
Throughout the stage, launch Rain Flush as you approach Mets, sweeping them up before you enter their range. Turns out mini-bosses aren't immune to Flash Stopper, so freeze the whale mini-boss's soul in place and kill it
Machucha.
before it exists. At the halfway
Se
point,
podía llegar a
you'll
una
meet
run.
Eddie, who will give you one
Pronto.
of several items. Don't grab it immediately though, Eddie can only give you one randomly chosen item per stage visit. Leave and re-enter the screen before collecting that item to force another dice roll. Keep re-rolling
A ver,
and
¿qué
eventually
quiere?
Eddie will drop an E-Tank.
¿Qué
Use the
quiere? ¿Por
Buster
qué quiere un
and/or
E-Tank?
Rain Flush in the Manta Ray corridor
What?
while jumping
Pero
over
igual-
and
igual no te
sliding
puedes
under the
curar.
jellyfish claws, save
What?
for
¿Por qué
this
quiere un
one,
E-Tank?
which you should freeze with Flash Stomper before sliding.
Esta-
After
esta-
exercising
esta-
another
está
whale,
cocinando algo,
intentionally suck and fall in the next pit like an absolute loser.
Esta es
This
the wire.
strategy rewards us with item number W, a mobility item that we'll barely be touching, but is at least barely worth the effort spent obtaining it. After, you'll teleport to the beginning of the Manta Ray.
Pues sí, los
where the
E-Tanks,
same
o sea, para
strategy
flexear.
as before apply. In
No,
the
está-
last two
está
screens,
cocinando
the bombs
algo,
will
está
detonate
cocinando
themselves
algo.
If you stand relatively close-ish, so be patient and let them blow up before
Algo está
falling
cocinando.
forward. To safely defeat Dive Man, we'll be abusing knowledge of his attack pattern to lock him into a predictable sequence. His only two attacks are diving and firing torpedoes. The choice between these two will likely seem random on your first few fights.
No,
but
es
on
patrón.
closer inspection, he's actually only reacting to Rockman's current distance, with
Sí,
no
sí me he dado
random
cuenta, sí me he dado
variables
cuenta.
whatsoever. If you use the same strategy every time, he'll
Pero
react
wow.
the same way
Eso
every
es- eso
time.
es-
He begins by charging toward you.
La forma que
Jump
manipula a
over,
sus jefes es
stall
una
a little,
locura,
then
como lo hizo en
slide
el
away
3
to the
también.
opposite side of the screen. Provided you're not too close to Dive Man, he'll now fire 3 missiles before charging towards you again, at which point the pattern can be repeated. Just keep an eye on your distance. If
Buen
you're too
patrón,
close,
eso
he'll
me
break
puede
the
ayudar
pattern
también.
and stop firing missiles to dive towards you instead. Once Dive Man is dead, initiate Victory Dance.
Locura. Sí, ya hemos hecho de 4 veces.
Holy crap, it's windy outside too. That's actually particularly bad because if anything's gonna make my power go out, it's gonna be wind.
Ah, se fue. Se bugueó. What? ¿Qué está haciendo? Oh, creo que tiene para
This
moverse.
has got to be a new record. Can we get can we get like a high score chart for longest time spent delaying the
Chucha.
boss timer?
No sabía que eso se podía hacer.
Next
Yo
target,
caí redondito, ¿eh? Caí redondito.
Ringman.
Not gonna lie.
Fun fact, in practice, I thought this first screen was 100% consistent, but it is not. Sometimes the turret will fire above you, and others the turret will fire below you. If it fires below, run to the left to get yourself
Eso es lo que más me interesa, ¿no? Porque Ringman, nivel complicado. Y así parece, yo pensé que no era así, pero parece que sí.
Each screen of this upward climb open with rain flush to clear every enemy ASAP, and be prepared to adjust position if any of the turrets.
Eso ayuda mucho.
Once at the top, switch to Flash Stopper, jump into the next screen, and mash fire. If timed correctly, the Hippo mini-boss will begin the battle while demonically possessed, which serves absolutely no purpose whatsoever. The Hippo itself won't be frozen, but the missiles it fires will, making it functionally harmless. Use the Buster to easily transfer the following screen, swap to Pharaoh Shot to take out the Saw Blade, and fall into the next screen while hugging the right wall. The ring mini-boss is incapable of
sí sabía.
and will die
No mata de uno en
Pharaoh Shot. The next screen features another Hippo who can be safely demonized. Following along, use your remaining Flash Stopper ammo to freeze and defeat enemies before they can spawn in. At the reverse light platforms, use a combination of Buster Shots and Rain Flush to take out every Saturn as you approach. An important note, the timing on Rain Flush is a bit different depending on how it's fired. If it has enough time to activate its rocket jet, the rain will come quickly. If, instead, you fire too close to the top of the screen and the pod despawns before the rocket jet appears, the rain will stall a few seconds. And while not relevant on this stage specifically, if you scroll the screen too far away, then the rain will be cancelled entirely. After this screen is a second ring mini-boss, but unlike the first, you're no longer safe while hugging
este sí te puede dañar. Este sí te puede dañar porque yo recuerdo la primera vez que llegué acá morí. Este es el Lobo, por cierto. Es el ítem 1 del Mega Man 2.
Rather than fighting, jump over
this
mini-boss a heartfelt no. Ringman himself has a very simple
el humor ha evolucionado también,
pattern, with one critical exception. The very first ring he throws can be difficult to jump over. To bridge the gap, jump on a balloon as soon as the battle begins, then jump down and equip Pharaoh Shot to fight properly. Jump over Ringman as he approaches, slide for distance, jump over his chasing ring, and throw a shot as he's landing from his own jump. Be patient, he'll counterattack if you shoot him while he's running towards you, but obviously that becomes a non-issue when dealing the final blow. Next up on the weakness chain is Dustman. Do not step forward like some kind of dumb stupid.
Este de acá, no creo que sea tan difícil llegar a los hitless, pero para runearlo lo veo difícil. Quiero ver la run, porque está esperando el delivery de mi peluche de Tomba, así que si no llega antes, de repente veo la speedrun y te voy a decir me quito, porque no puedo dormir ahorita. Se me acordé.
A shield will spawn and run into you. Instead, equip and use Flash Stopper. For some likely
no, que él también murió varias veces en serio, pues sí, yo soy bien manco. Pero ya no voy a ser manco, porque esto va a ser runeado.
And enemies who can only be harmed from a specific direction, like the shields, can be harmed from any direction while frozen. Keep the world frozen all the way until you reach these rising platforms, at which point switch to Pharaoh Shot. Not only can you aim Pharaoh Shot up and down, but hovering over Rockman's head acts as its own hitbox, protecting you from any enemies above. In the Crusher Room, carefully edge forward. The trickiest segment is this final set of garbage blocks, guarded by a Met immediately after leaving no room for caution. Slide forward right when the wall rises high enough and focus on taking out the 2 rows of blocks directly under the ceiling. Try not to trigger the Met's attack until just before Rockman reaches ground level, then run forward and Buster it as usual. Timing is a bit tight, but actually more lenient than it appears. I've only failed a handful of runs here, and all of them were due to triggering the Met early. Using Flash Stopper and Rain Flush, you can kill every remaining enemy in the level without resistance. Time for Dustman. He'll always begin the fight by firing dust, which explodes 4 ways into a horizontal position as of the moment it was fired. While this can be skillfully jumped over with precise timing, if you're bad at video games, you can substitute the skill with Balloon. For the rest of the battle, keep it a mid-distance.
Literalmente solamente te dispara el dust, un poco de timing y saltas arriba. No vas diagonal ni nada, no vas izquierda, derecha, saltas arriba y no pasa nada. Este es uno de los más fáciles, yo creo, de ese no hit.
Balloon and ring every time
junto con Toadman.
You'll have to improvise depending on which attacks he randomly uses, but regardless, you'll always have enough time and ammo.
Sí,
With
no,
Dustman finally living
muy
up to his
fácil ese.
namesake, bring Dust Crusher into Skullman.
Y Skullman es fácil como
On the
nivel.
first screen, spam the Buster in the narrow hallways to take out the turrets and their bouncing projectiles safely. Against turrets in more open areas, swap to Rain Flush, which kills the turrets and projectiles in one hit. Use a charged Pharaoh Shot to one-hit KO the Skeleton Joe on the next screen. Swap back to Rain Flush and use it to flush the entire next corridor. The
Yeah.
entire rest of the stage can be cheesed through effortless abuse of Flash Stopper.
Ah, sí.
Kindly note to stop
Ese fue el nivel más
safe
fácil,
spot
el jefe
just
más fácil
before the
también.
timer runs out.
Pero uno de los más
Ensure
fáciles,
time is
no sé si
always
más fácil.
frozen while you're in motion. Pay very close attention to the Skullman
Ok,
strat because it is incredible.
sí, este hitless es complicado porque sus patrones son un poco jodidos. Difícilmente te mata en un run casual, pero en un run no hit sí lo puedo ver complicado.
Frozen while you're in motion. Pay very close attention to the Skullman strat because it is incredibly easy to mess up. Enter the battle with Dust Crusher equipped, stare Skullman in the eyes, and take a bathroom break. Skullman, more than any other boss,
¿En
is
serio?
capable of independent thought.
Es como Quickman este huevón. Que cae de risa, es igualito a Quickman, o sea, no se mueve lo puede manipular para que no se mueva nunca. Como Bubbleman también, Bubbleman era igualito.
So if the player does absolutely nothing, Skullman will see the brilliance in the strategy and shamelessly steal it. Otherwise, Skullman has two moves. If the player presses left or right while Skullman is awaiting input, he'll respond with 3 aimed shots. If the player presses
Qué manipulación,
while
¿ah?
Skullman is awaiting input, he'll jump slightly in front
Con
of
música
Rockman,
romántica de
pull up his
fondo.
shield for a random amount of time.
No,
then-
Quickman sí hace eso de KP. Si atacas a Quickman con su inmunidad, no te ataca, se queda parado. Se queda parado. O sea, si lo ataca con las hojas a Quickman, literalmente no te hace nada. No te hace nada. Es una locura.
Run forward. Note that he'll never respond with the same move 3 times in a row, opting for the other move instead. Skullman does not listen to the A button or down directional input, meaning you can still move yourself
Sí, no,
forward
sí
via
entendí, sí
slides
entendí.
without triggering a response. You can even hit him with Pharaoh Shot since he only reacts when the B button is pressed,
What?
not released. But he's immune to it, so this serves no purpose beyond
O sea, si haces slide no te hace nada. What?
the entertainment value. Regardless, since he only moves when you move, you can patiently map out a plan until you're ready. Bait him into firing, let the first 2 shots travel horizontally, and jump just before the 3rd shot is fired. This ensures that 3rd shot travels upward, so you won't have to
Locura,
jump
weón.
after landing. You can get in some extra damage by shooting him during the barrage when he's not paying attention to your input. When he jumps forward, try to hit him just before he lands. If timed right, you can shoot him again just before his invulnerability frames end. While the initial dust block won't hurt him, it will split into 4 smaller projectiles a moment after, which can still hit Skullman even inside his shield. Wait in place for his shield to lower, shoot him with dust, and immediately jump over. It's important to note he'll start awaiting input immediately after. I'll
What
leave it
the
to
fuck?
you to
Qué
choose whether you
complejo.
find it safer to run away and dodge the bullets, or stop moving just in
Ese
time
fue el jefe
until
más
the
interesante,
situation
¿ah?
is locked.
Hasta el momento.
Whatever you choose, repeat the strategy until Skullman is nothing but bones. We now enter the final of the initial 8 stages, Drill Man,
Ya,
which
este-
we won't be talking about long. As always,
sí.
Rain Flush and Flash Stomp.
No hay mucho que decir. Acá simplemente
Note in this spike hallway.
Acá simplemente tienes que matar a los enemigos y en la parte de las rocas es su skull. Y ahí
Don't worry about
basta.
the upper spikes. Your maximum jump height doesn't actually reach them. There shouldn't be any major surprises until Drillman himself.
Ya, este es-
Drillman was one of the hardest bosses in this run to find a viable strategy for, but with that finalized strategy, he became one of the easy ones.
¿Serio?
When he drills underground, hug an edge of the screen, wait a couple seconds, and then run away while jumping. You'll need the timing memorized.
De hecho, muchos jefes de Mega Man son así, que muchos jefes de Mega Man son así. Es algo extraño. Es algo extraño, pero la mayoría son manipulables de alguna forma. Es una locura de programación.
Safe window is very forgiving. When he's back in the arena, you'll need to react to his every movement instantly. He'll dive back underground, jump to your current location, or run towards you while firing drill missiles. The third option is the most dangerous, with nearly perfect preemptive movement required to dodge both the missiles and Drillman himself.
Locura.
Pause buffer just as Drillman is acting to give yourself extra reaction time.
Oh,
If you
mira.
see he's walking towards you, swap to balloon and jump on, bypassing the need for any
¿En
skill
serio?
dodging.
¿En serio?
But
¡Qué
you
loco!
still need to return to
Qué
the
lástima que el
ground,
jefe es muy
which takes a
fácil,
bit of
porque-
prior knowledge to time safely.
Bueno, tampoco
Drillman
tanto,
always
el
fires
jefe es
his
difícil
drills
si vas
at
con
specific
base.
intervals intervals of time and stops firing once he reaches a wall. If he started walking from the opposite wall, he'll fire 4 total shots. Otherwise, you'll just have to figure out when he's done firing based on your own memorization of the timing. It takes a bit of practice, but once you've cemented all the relevant knowledge, Damageless Drill Man becomes trivial. Another very minor note, if Drill Man dives underground with 1 HP and you have some Rain Flush to spare, swap over to it and you can finish Drill Man off while underground.
Interesante, habla risas, ¿qué tal?
And is therefore required. With the initial 8 down, we have every single tool in our arsenal.
Ya terminamos, Risa, ya lo acabamos.
The Dr. Cossack.
Estaba viendo un video ahora relacionado a ello.
No, our current weapon ammo is remembered between stages for the remainder of the game. Since enemy drops are random, how much remaining ammo you have on each weapon at a specific time can vary wildly.
Espero que ya están mejorando
Your own
risas.
best judgment on which weapons to refill and save ammo with the Buster when you have a relatively safe opportunity. After rain flushing the first set of wheelers, charge up a Pharaoh shot for the first Skeleton Joe. It's finally time to bring out our good boy's patented aerial form, Rush Jet.
Sí,
Unfortunately received a
necessary
software.
Yo lo usé ahí.
It's far less versatile than before, but can
Genial,
still be used
risas.
to skip most of this screen. Halt once you reach this Skeleton Joe, who you can kill with a hovering Pharaoh shot. Now that we're watching our ammo, it's important to remember that Pharaoh shot will only expend ammo when a shot is fired. Killing an enemy with the hovering
Quiero
shot
saber
is
exactamente
completely
cómo va a ser el
free.
boss rush, porque mira, es el primer nivel y estas son todas sus armas.
Additionally, you can
Está
begin
buenísimo esto, ¿eh?
charging for free by pressing and holding the button at a time Rockman isn't capable of firing, such as the pause screen. After grabbing the weapon,
pierdas mucho
finish
usando
off
eso,
the
pero-
rest of your journey with Rush Jet and coil all the way up until this first weapon pellet,
Sí, va-
which you should use to refill Rush Jet.
Ah,
you
ok,
should
sí,
now
sí,
have
sí.
more than enough rush ammo for the remainder of the game, so all other weapons take priority. Make sure you climb down and back up the
Acá-
lower ladder before flying across with
Sí, ahí
Rush
lo hizo
to ensure
bien.
the
Es que no
climb
entendía
is
esos
perfectly
enemigos.
timed. Equip Ring Boomerang and enter the boss fight against the Giant Moth. I'm actually not 100% certain on the pattern here, but I've gotten the impression it fires its bullets on a timer and will dive downward at seemingly random.
No me parece tan difícil esto para evitar, pero si te das cornering ahí cagaste.
Sliding under, so don't be
La
too
vaina.
afraid to do so unless you find evidence otherwise.
Sí.
Your attacks will only reach the moth's hitbox at its lower elevations, so time
A
them
ver.
out patiently. Don't
Sí.
rush your attacks or you risk a
Es
bullet
medio
being
RNG
shot at
porque
you
te
at
puede,
just the
si te
wrong
puede caer
Even with
por
cautious
ahí.
play, I can still take it
Ahí
down
está.
within 2 cycles. In Cossack Stage 2, take the left ladder, drink a small latte while the Pinecone's curse Cossack's level design,
Yeah.
rain flush the upcoming Skull Spawner, and rush jet across the Spike Chasm. Spam Buster shots during the journey to take out the enemies along the way, who always spawn at your elevation, and make a couple stops for energy refills. Equip Pharaoh Shot on the far ladder, hold down the charge, and let the upcoming Buzzsaw walk into it for an ammo-less
¿Va a ser
takedown.
rush coil go?
Switch
Okay.
to Balloon. It's
I
not
don't
going to
know.
make these spike platforms stress-free, but is absolutely safer than platforming the old-fashioned way. Time it so you move past the first set while the spikes are vertical, jump past as they change horizontal, and land on the last 2 blocks when they turn horizontal. In the upper room,
No puede ir
proper
directo a la
timing will
otra,
allow
como
you to
para
squeeze
estar más
past
safe,
with
supongo.
only a single balloon. Rain flush to the end of the next room. You could totally jump the last gap on foot, but screw economics and conveniently ride Rush Jet for 10 cents.
Screw economics.
Both the next 2 rooms are free and lead to the boss
Ya,
fight
este está-
against
este-
Square Machine. Its pattern is thanks
Sí, no creo que sea tan difícil para un pro. A mí me costó un poco, pero es una pura reacción este jefe. Solamente es slide de abajo si va rápido y después evita los rayos, que no, son lentos, o sea, hay espacio para evitar.
thankfully extremely simple both to understand and to dodge. If it moves at full or
Sí.
mid-speed, slide under. If it moves at
Sí,
slow
lo
speed,
dije.
jump and slide inside. It will open its weak point to fire 3 bullets, all predictably timed. Jump up with Dust Crusher in between, but absolutely feel free to waste an attack opportunity if you need to get your bearings. This is about the point in the game where my fight or flight instincts kick in, making simple input mistakes a lot more common. Keep calm and get in a shot every once in a while until earning a brief moment of relief.
Ooh,
Cossack Stage
esas
3
luces.
begins with an auto-scroller. Other than the very predictable spinning
Nah, esta
motors,
parte
there are
fácil.
just 2 turrets on the top path. Memorize their positions and take them both out with Rain Flush right when they're spawning in. Important
That's
note
fácil.
that is completely pointless, but very stupid. If you attach to a platform with wire near the beginning and let the screen push you aside, you can clear this screen by sipping a latte as
What?
you ascend to the heavens.
What?
Man is still clear this screen by sipping a latte as you ascend to the heavens.
Eso no sabía, es locura, weón. Capaz hacemos eso la run con un autoscroller para que descanse.
Man is still legally being pushed upward by wire and will continue that upward journey until he finds a ceiling, which will probably take a while. Once the screen is fully scrolled, you can still cancel wire as usual. Notice the jumping enemy moved to the right. That's because I moved Rockman to the right. He just needs a little bit of time to re-enter its atmosphere. Once Rockman is back on screen, you can grab the ladder and continue the
Locura de buga.
As
Eso puede dar una
while
run.
it's technically safer than platforming, I personally don't use this strat since there are 2 large weapon energy pickups along the way that we'd have to skip. I'm sorry. Back on track, ring boomerang the saw blades in the upper room and rush to leave
los
ace.
energías en esto es
If you stall
importantísimo.
too long, it's
No,
possible
game
for
over,
the floating
murió.
enemy to spawn on top of you while climbing the ladder.
pendejo.
The next auto-scrolling section is super simple and easy, Buster only. If you're
It's
curious,
fácil.
yes, you can do the glitch here as well, but it's slightly more non-viable.
Sí,
Not
por el
only would
final.
you be skipping weapon energy, there's a solid wall at the end, and
Sí.
apparently Dr. Cossack managed to get his hands on an infinite height building permit. Equip Pharaoh Shot, and very importantly, hold left on the D-pad while
Yeah,
jumping
este
to
jefe
the
sí, sí,
block.
también.
Actually, also, double super important note that I didn't figure out until recording demo footage for this video. Hit the boss door while your jump is arcing upward and continue holding the jump button. This makes Rockman bop upward slightly, which is a tiny bit sillier and thus required. This boss comes in 2.
What?
The first cockroach only clings to the ceiling, while the second moves faster and rotates along the entire wall. When it's on the ceiling,
Igual no es
try
tan
to hit
difícil.
it
No,
with your
no sé qué
right
tiene que ver el glitch.
Not only does this let you attack directly above your head, you'll retain your level of charge and can still
Yeah,
throw
easy.
the down on
Ese jefe fue muy fácil.
release the fire button.
Ese creo que es
As
el
for
único al final
dodging,
que lo pasa
as
la
much
primera.
distance between you two as
pasa
possible
el
when
único
the
en el juego.
cockroach is traveling below. When it's traveling above, it should be safe enough so long as you're not standing directly below its dead center. Don't be afraid to waste ammo either. Pausing the game now risks messing up your timing, and Pharaoh Shot has plenty. Once both roaches are dead, you enter the final level,
Sí.
Cossack Stage.
Y la primera también.
For ultra show-off points, make sure you make the jump to grab both weapon energy drops without having to summon Rush. If you fail, your run isn't forfeit, but you are officially lame. Rain flush the turrets in the next ring.
Estás-
and don't
no, esa
worry,
traducción
the
está
turret's
cojo.
bullets are at least 1 pixel away from hitting you, which is
Está
enough.
cojo, me da
When you reach
risa.
the fork, take the right path, the easier and less ammo expensive of the two. From that point on, you won't face any major danger until the boss door. Just one note, the spawning skulls make for a quick and easy weapon farm if you're exceptionally low, but if you rationed well, this shouldn't be necessary. When you're ready, equip Wire for some reason and enter
Wire.
the final boss battle against the Cossack catcher.
Ah, esta
As
huevada.
soon as the battle begins, run against the wall, turn around, wait for Cossack to approach, and time a wire shot.
What?
upward.
¿Eso se
This won't
usa?
be enough to beat Cossack, but it's basically free and will give you a major head start. You'll
Ah,
notice
mierda.
that sometimes you can hit him twice with one wire
¿Se
shot,
puede
depending
usar?
on his height and the shot's timing. But please resist the temptation to stall your shots. While that is possible and can deal extra damage, I consider it too great a risk. Once out of ammo, switch to charged buster shots. Cossack has only
No
2
sabía.
attacks,
No
a volley
sabía.
of 3 bullets in your direction, and an automatic grab if ever Rockman is standing below him. The grab will not occur if Rockman is sliding instead.
Sí,
Play it
eso-
safe, watch
eso
for the
sí, eso me
bullets,
pasó.
always slide under Cossack, and get 2 or 3 hits in.
Esta.
Surprise plot twist, Kalinka is convinced by Blues to come clean and admit she was behind this all along. She firmly believes that glitches are cheating and that Rockman didn't deserve to save the world, convincing her father to dedicate his life to punching Rockman in the face as a birthday present. Finally able to
Es una
stop
parte
and
que
feeling the
pasó.
weight of his actions, Cossack
No,
will
no,
insist
no,
on
no, no, no.
apologizing and explain to Kalinka that glitches are a part of life that should be embraced during the length of the most needlessly unskippable cutscene in video game history, which, incredibly coincidentally, lasts as long as it takes for you to use the bathroom. You'll wash your hands just in time to see the end of the cutscene where Dr. Wily comes back from the dead as an alien zombie. They don't address this in-game, but if you check the wiki, Kalinka asked her dad pretty please for the Necronomicon. Time for the
What?
second and true endgame in Wily Castle.
Sí, esto es-
Wily Stage 1 is full of Mets in 3 varieties.
Esto es igualito a la última de Star Wars. Somehow Palpatine has returned. Igualito. ¿Quién banca?
Standard and underwater Mets can be killed in one hit with either the Buster or Rain Flush. Ballet Mets are killed in 3 hits with those weapons or 1 hit with a fully charged Pharaoh or Buster shot. Use Rain Flush for the standard Mets in the first 2 rooms, then the Buster on the remaining Ballet Mets. While slightly more risky, you've got the space to retreat easily and Rain Flush ammo is valuable right now. At the underwater area, swap to Rush Marine. This might seem unnecessary, but remember, this late in the run, your nerves are gonna be shot, and it's a lot easier to flub precise timing on a jump than rush movement. Swap out of Rush when the path drops and narrows, take out the last net on foot, then use a Pharaoh shot charge to eliminate the Saw Blade in the next room for free. That room can be safely jumped through without item usage, but in the next you should use Rush Jet to bypass the spike gap, then either wire or balloon to reach the upper path.
No, you don't
wire if you were lucky enough to get a small energy drop or okay. So get used to both strategies. On the final screen, use a charged Pharaoh shot to take out the first Ballet Met, then charged Buster shots on the following 2 on ground level. Equip Ring Boomerang and enter one of the most stressful boss fights in the entire run.
Sí, este weón me costó mucho. Porque sus saltos son muy predecibles. O sea, parece que vas a estar más cerca y no puedes deslizar debajo. Es difícil. Quiero ver esto.
Daddy. His pattern is as follows. He'll come out of his helmet, wait a random amount of time, jump to your current position, and retreat into his helmet. Upon landing, he creates a shockwave that stuns Rockman if grounded, and additionally will spawn 4 Mets from the top of the screen. These Mets will be in groups of 2 and walk towards the screen exit. Shortly after all 4 Mets are gone, Met Daddy will stand back up and repeat the pattern. Ring Boomerang doesn't deal damage fast enough to safely kill him before he locks you at the edge of the screen. You'll have to somehow get past this giant Met while dodging its even more giant hitbox. Going underneath is possible, but absolutely out of the question. That leaves traveling above. Stick relatively
¿Cómo que no pensé de eso? Son cojudos. Era obvio que iba a salir Globo y no lo pensé.
Boomerang getting
Inteligente, pero no... Creo que era muy obvio.
Jump away. How to deal with the small Mets depends on context. If you have enough wiggle room, pause buffer while keeping your eyes on the top of the screen. As soon as you know where the Mets will be landing, adjust your position accordingly, then attack with Ring Boomerang. If you don't have enough wiggle room, you'll instead have to swap to Rain Flush, timing its firing to kill the Mets in midair. Once you're close to a wall, switch to Balloon. Fire your first balloon early, but stall the second balloon. Jump over Met Daddy as he jumps under you. Make sure you're not still standing on the balloon when he lands either. Standing on the balloon is technically still legally grounded, so the shockwave will still freeze you. On a good run, you'll only have to pass above Met Daddy twice before he runs out of health. Wily Stage 2's design should be pretty easy to figure out. All enemies are ones you should already know how to safely deal with. My only major note is that once you reach this screen, equip and charge up Pharaoh Shot, sit back and drink a latte. This is the safest farming spot before the true endgame, letting you sit here down until weapon energy. While it's not technically necessary to fill up literally everything, since there are still a bunch of guaranteed energy drops ahead, it all needs to be filled up almost all the way, with the exception of the Russian wire items, which will see no more use. Once satisfied, make the rest of the boss fight against Taco Trash with drill missiles equipped. Keep a careful eye on Taco, who will randomly launch a fireball straight forward or a bomb to your current position. Your goal is to land a single hit on its weak point with drill missiles. Once it's been hit, abandon all reason and literally walk directly
puedes ir atrás. Yo pensé que no podía ir más abajo. O sea, literalmente tenía razón DKP, que vas literalmente atrás de él. Yo pensé que no se podía ir tan cerca.
Now completely
Eso cambia todo.
And 100% safe to win the fight Buster only. If you're wondering whether this is a glitch, gosh, I'd love to know too, because isn't this silly? Taco Trash, as you would expect, does begin the battle with a damaging contact hitbox. For some astronomically stupid reason, however, if Taco Trash receives drill missile damage, that hitbox ceases to exist.
Muy extraño. Es un bug eso.
Stopping the player from giving Taco a hug. I'm guessing what happened is a dev fell asleep at the keyboard and accidentally copy-pasted the destructible wall attribute onto Taco's contact.
El tipo se ha vuelto más humorístico. Más humorístico en los videos. En el 3 estaba estresado en el video del 3. Pero en este video se nota que se está divirtiendo.
Why it happens, it's incredibly convenient and stupid, so abuse it at the first opportunity to cook Taco for free. Next up
Easy.
is the
O sea,
second
es normal.
final level, Wily Stage 3.
Eso
Refill
quiero
the
ver,
most empty
eso
weapons
quiero
in the
ver.
first room, grab the final E-tank, and drop down the left side with flash
Sí,
stopper
siempre
mashing
lo
to
quiero ver.
bypass the shields below. Hug the left wall while falling to the next screen so you can grab another line of weapon energy and continue your descent into the initial
Entonces,
phase
no,
of
sí es un
device.
bug.
Our strategies here will be mostly identical to the first battles, but some important stipulations apply. Drillman absolutely must be fought before Dustman and Ringman. All
Yeah,
three of their
okay.
strategies use Balloon, but Drillman is the only one of the three without a backup strat, and how many total balloons we need is largely decided by RNG.
Ya veo.
You'll almost always have enough balloons for all three combined, but I'm sure you realize the exact
Pero
moment you leave an opening for
No
battle.
es necesario usar los globos en Dustman, o sea, no es medio RNG si no, pero muy evitable sin el globo, o sea, solo es un poco de timing y ya.
At RNG,
Es
it's
lo
gonna
que yo
happen
pienso.
10 times in a row. Also worth noting is Pharaoh Man is now fought on flat ground. While this makes him harder to hit if you freeze him in midair, it also makes his shots easier to dodge if you encounter his glitch, so this
¿En
should
serio?
altogether be
Yo pensé
safer
que
than
era
the
al
first
revés.
fight. Otherwise, use all your original strats and pray your fingers don't slip, because God knows your controller is drenched in sweat. With
Sí.
all 8 dead, equip the Buster
Me
and
imagino.
enter the second final boss battle, and arguably the hardest boss battle in the entire game, Wily Machine number
No,
4.
el primero es fácil,
Walk
el
slightly
segundo es
in front of
difícil.
him, charge up the Buster, and sip a latte while draining his health bar with absolutely no
Ah, se
danger.
puede hasta abajo
If you thought I
también.
was joking when I said this was arguably the hardest boss battle, bad news time. This fight has 2 phases.
Ya, esta es la
In
difícil.
phase 2, Wily's elevation will set slightly above Rockman's head, and he'll take to firing energy blasts at a constant rate while randomly wiggling left and right. These energy blasts will be aimed toward Rockman if he's in range, and otherwise will be fired straight forward. As you can see, standing below the backside of the machine is a 100% safe zone, but safety is meaningless without a way to actually deal damage, and no tools with remaining ammo in our arsenal are capable of attacking Wily without putting ourselves in some kind of danger. Even if we hypothetically had gone out of our way to refill wire ammo earlier, I consider it too big a risk.
¿Por qué se pone
Wily
esa cara?
could
Mira, tiene la cara de
an
Chad.
energy blast.
Mira esto, mira esa cara, mira esa cara. Eso va a ser un emote, gente, eso va a ser un emote, esa cara ahí. Voy a tomar una foto, espera un segundo. Esa cara se cae de risa. Lo pongo en emote antes que me vaya, ¿qué les
I
parece?
consider it too big a risk, as Wily could back up and punish us with an energy blast. Instead, bide your time, sip a couple lattes, and keep your eyes out for the golden opportunity. The ideal situation is to enter the danger zone, as Wily Machine is located in roughly the center of the screen and currently moving to the right side. This gives an ideal compromise of screen space to maneuver Rockman while also giving Wily the ability to
A ver qué
continue
hace.
moving away from you. If Wily is moving away from you, his energy blasts will be more spaced out. Be very, very patient. Wily wiggles almost as much as his eyebrows, aggravatingly wasting full-on minutes before presenting an opportunity. At which point, your nerves will have exploded so many times in a row, it might be best you wait until next time. Once the opportunity presents itself, and you accrue the necessary bravery, run out, detonate a drill missile next to Wily's weak point, and slide back
Qué
into safety. With
tedioso,
proper
qué
timing,
tedioso, a la
and
mierda. A ver,
G, you'll slide under the energy
a la mierda, qué tedioso eso, weón.
blast. Unfortunately, there's no guarantee Wily will act like you're expecting. No!
Pobrecito.
After I killed him! After I killed him!
Me pasó igualito, yo lo maté y fue un empate. No se acuerdan, gente, pero se acuerdan.
It unfortunately took me a couple embarrassing failures to realize this, but if you end up
Pasó
in a
igual.
tight spot, do not try to dodge. Instead, pull out the final weapon of the game, Skull Barrier, which will negate each energy blast on contact. This will be
Seguridad.
the longest RNG endurance match yet seen in the series. Be patient and think through every
what
move
the
before
fuck?
you make it, and any sufficiently cool-headed player will be able to take down Wily Machine number 4
Aprendió
damageless
selección ahí, a la
100%
mierda.
of the time. With Wily Machine
Yeah,
number
victory
4
lap.
destroyed, Wily will escape into the really truly final level for real this time, Wily Stage 4. Side note, no, using Rain Flesh to kill Wily in his capsule does not count as beating the game. Wily in his capsule is a completely separate enemy
¿Se
from
puede
the
hacer
boss.
eso? ¿Se puede hacer eso? No sabía. O sea, lo matas directamente, voy a ¿verdad?
Capsule, and the former is a completely optional enemy who does not trigger the ending upon defeat. Methodically buster through the final caterpillar hallway, swap to Pharaoh Shot,
Sí, ya,
jump in
victory
the
lap
final,
esto.
final boss door, and get ready for a victory lap. While certainly not a freebie, Wily Capsule is one of the
Ah,
easier
ese como
damage
Dokuro.
bosses, and to my memory, I've never once failed to beat him after learning his pattern, even in practice. Wily can only hurt you
Sí,
either
es
with his
fácil.
aimed electric shot, which has a long and obvious tell before firing, or with his direct contact hitbox. The contact hitbox doesn't legally exist until he becomes visible, which coincides with the energy shot properly forming, making the exact timing obvious. Wily can only appear in preset locations, and the only preset location which would overlap with a grounded Rockman is at the dead center of the screen. Knowing this, in order to reliably dodge both Wily
no
and
sabía
the
eso.
electric orb, position yourself at the center of the screen. Watch for the orb spawn location and escape to either the
Locura.
left or right edge
No
accordingly.
tengo mucho que decir al respecto ahí, pero... A ver cómo celebra. Capaz lo sigo también, porque quiero ver, la sigo, perdón, porque es She-Her obviamente, pero la sigo para ver si está haciendo Mega Man 7, quiero seguir esa campaña. Pues ya hizo el 6 creo, esa es la última que hizo. Uno más.
Nice! I was so worried there for a second. He had me locked in, like right at the edge of the screen with a bullet headed
Grande.
towards me. I thought I was gonna get hit after I beat the final boss. Oh my god.
98, es poco, es poco. Quiero ver cuánto se con Mega Man 3
With
después de
Wily's
eso.
resurrected ambition put on yet another hiatus, the Rockman 4 Mr. Perfect Run is mission complete. Before heading out, special shout out to YouTube channel Sequel Wars video explaining the AI behind each of the initial 8 bosses.
Ah, mira.
The in-depth info was incredibly helpful, and even if you're not planning on doing the run yourself, is interesting to know anyway. I should also note they apparently made that video as a part of making their own sequel to Rockman Mega World, which is still in development.
Ah, este no es parte de la serie, qué
Nothing to do
loco.
with the challenge run, but it's neat. And if you were interested in throwing money at my face,
Ya, quiero ver una cosa, antes de ver, estoy esperando un video más porque está llegando mi peluche en Tomba, quiero mostrarlo y después ya apago. Quiero ver una cosita, a ver, ¿cuánto tuvo acá?
Owl's one-handed egg cracking seemed to Ivy Mackey, drawn by H.
Want to do it very quickly.
Mira cuántas veces murió acá. Mira cuántas veces murió ahí. El Mega 3. O sea, ahí ves la diferente dificultad. 360. Y hasta eso me parece poco, ¿ah? Me parece poco también. Qué loco, qué loco, qué loco.